Now, I do not want to be a promoter of the instant gratification fixation that is plaguing this nation. However, I do believe that there are some moments where perhaps not instant, but rather speedy gratification can be beneficial. I feel one of those moments coming on. Most of my projects take a fair amount of time to complete, which I don't mind. I would like to make items of quality that will last. But there are times when I do very much crave a speedy project which I can begin and finish in a short amount of time, giving myself that little sliver, that little half-gram suggestion of dopamine, so that I can feel like I'm actually accomplishing something. In short, I am trying very hard to follow the adage, work smarter, not harder. Although I do prefer my own version of the phrase, be clever in your craftiness. In my opinion, there are a couple of ways to do this. One, you can retrieve an incomplete project that is close to being finished and finish it. The second thing you can do is craftily collect supplies to minimize your workload, making it seem like you did more work than you actually did. I'm going with the second option today. Supplies needed. First, a design you are comfortable with.
The design I have in mind is reminiscent of dresses of the prairie persuasion, those beauties found in the 70s and 80s brought to us by designers such as Candy Jones, Jessica McClintock, Laura Ashley, and others.
I'm fairly familiar with this style, having made a few over the years, such as this one, this one, this one, and this one, which I started in 2018 and haven't yet finished. I would hazard a guess the question on your mind is, well, why don't you just finish that one? Wouldn't it be faster to finish this one than starting a new one? Not necessarily. And that brings us to supply 2, motivation. I've learned that I do my best when I am able to work on projects that I am motivated to work on. Even if it seems like a quick project, if I don't have the personal motivation to propel it forward, it can take twice as long or longer. Supply 3, fabric that already has the trimmings attached. Like these curtains.
Adding the trimmings, lace, ruffles, etc. takes up a good deal of time, so if you can find something that already has those pieced together, you can cut down on your workload considerably.
I found these curtains at the thrift store. There are a few stains here and there, but I don't mind them so much. Stains used to bother me a great deal, not so much anymore. I kind of look at them as telling the story of where this has been, so I kind of like them. The plan is to take this ruffle on the side here and use this as the front, and then gather this up, and then we'll have a center back seam here, and there's half of the skirt. And then I should be able to use this portion here, see where the ruffle ends, this whole portion here, because it's folded over so far, I should have just enough for a bodice, but not sleeves. So here's the fabric for the sleeves. It also has some stains going on. But again, I don't mind. Let's see how this looks. Ta-da! No, not really. Just basically getting a basic idea of what's going to happen. Sleeves, long, flowy, not that one. Not an elf, we're a prairie princess, right? Sure. And then the front kind of sort of makes a bit of a slit. And then whatever fabric is left over, we'll make the bodice. Do you see it? Do you see the vision? I guess I could make a sketch. I don't really know if I feel like doing that. Sometimes I like to make a sketch and sometimes I just like to go.
And go she did. She set to work unpicking the stitching on that fold-over of fabric meant for a curtain rod, but that would soon be transformed into a bodice. Okay, I will leave off the third-person narration now, I promise. I cut the bodice out of a little section of muslin. I knew this pattern was practically perfect, so I didn't technically make a muslin, but I did only baste all the pieces together so I could try it on and make adjustments as needed, and then put it back together to use as lining, and it went splendidly.
The time has come to cut into the curtains. I have just barely enough fabric for the bodice. So if I make a mistake, I just better not.
It all turned out just fine, but nothing stresses me out quite like the phrase,
"You've only got one shot at this."
Mostly my concern was really paying attention when cutting out the pieces. I had to cut one at a time. I was very nervous I would cut two of the same instead of mirrored pieces and the whole thing would have been a disaster. But it wasn't. It was successful. And I stitched all the pieces together. Please forgive me for doing it off camera. I just needed a little quiet therapeutic sewing time after that stressful ordeal.
I have the bodice sewn together and the bodice lining, and now it is time to join them as one. here they are, joined together as one, but not officially yet. I only basted the neckline together because I was concerned that the front of the bodice would look rather plain, and now that I see it all sewn together, it is confirmed. It looks rather plain. So I would like to see if I have some lace that is very similar to this lace, or something complementary that I can just kind of put here at the front and make it look a little less plain. You will not believe what I just found. Well, you might. It's not that amazing, actually. I got a bag of lace scraps from the thrift store a while back. It was just a Ziploc bag full of a bunch of little pieces of lace. Like, what? That is the size I need. It's not too small, and it's not even a little too big where I have to cut any off. It's the exact size. The question is, does it look good with this lace? It's not even a little off. It is the same color. And true to this project, all the pieces in the project, it has a tiny little stain. So cute. It'll get swallowed up in the seam allowance, but I'll know it's there. Oh, cuteness. All right. That's exciting. Is this enough? Just the one piece of lace? Are we going to add any ribbon? Or more lace? Or ribbon? I could do ribbon or cord right there. But I don't really think that's necessary. I think this is lovely in itself. And then with the skirt on and the sleeves on, I think that's going to look pretty good. Well, I was trying to do a few more steps before I called it a night, but I have gotten the signal that it is time to go to bed, so I guess I'm going to do that. See you tomorrow. Welcome to the next day. Guess where we are? The thrift store. I've realized I think I need to find maybe some tiny little buttons to add to the front of the dress because it just needs a little more something something. So I'm going to go see if I can find such a thing here.
The button supply at the thrift store was sadly depleted, but there were a few interesting odds and ends, just not what I was hoping for. So I ventured to the antique mall down the street. I usually don't visit this place because it's huge, overwhelming, and expensive. But there is one booth that has a few sewing type odds and ends, so I checked that out and was disappointed yet again.
So, we are not going to talk about my hair. Well, we can. I'm going for a Helena Bonham Carter Bellatrix Lestrange sort of look today. Not really, I just didn't feel up to doing my hair today, or washing it for the last couple of weeks. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I found these at the thrift store today. There were only 4 of them, which is not going to work. But I thought they were really cute and would somehow work. But the bodice is just too long for 4 small buttons. So after all that work trying to find buttons, I think I'm going to end up using something that I have anyway. When I looked through it before, I thought it wasn't good enough. And now I'm thinking it looks good enough. So leave it to me to lengthen and overcomplicate a project. I'm really good at that. Alright, so I have these little guys and these beautiful buttons. And I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use. Also at the thrift store, I did find some ribbon. I'm not really very big on ribbon, but I could be persuaded to add some. It goes pretty well with the lace color-wise, I think. I'm gonna mess around with this a little bit and see what it looks like.
What I ended up doing was taking a little strip of matching fabric and placing it down the center front right on top of the lace, and then I decided between the 2 different sets of buttons. Both were clear, but slightly different from each other.
They're so different.
My idea was to then attach the ribbon on either side of the centerpiece, but I needed to see it on the dress form to get a better visual. This is what I've come up with, and I am not loving the ribbons. They're not bad. They're just not good. No ribbons? Ribbons. No ribbons. Ribbons. I don't know. I think I want to forego the ribbons. I might go ahead and post a poll on my Instagram. Make sure that people agree, see what they think I should do.
But I don't think I'm gonna go with the ribbons. I had almost definitely decided on skipping the ribbons. However, I opened Instagram today and a lot of people seem to be really appreciating the ribbons, so I'm rethinking things. I decided to go ahead and attach the lace and that little center strip and sew on some buttons. And then I also kind of squished the sleeves up here to kind of see how it would all look together. I pinned the ribbons on there, but I moved them a little bit closer to the lace and closer together. And I think I really like it. I keep comparing between no ribbons and ribbons, no ribbons and ribbons, and I think it looks better with the ribbons. I've gone to the ribbon side.
Give yourself to the
Ribbon.
side.
I stitched all 6 strips of ribbon onto the bodice. I forgot how different it looks after stitching. Like I said, I don't often use ribbon. I don't remember the last time I used ribbon in a project. But now I remember how nice it can look after piercing it with needle and thread.
It actually looks very lovely. I am glad I went with the ribbons. Moving right along. Not in the frame. Moving right along. Now I just have to insert the sleeves and run some elastic through the casings, and then I can turn my attention to the skirt. I have the skirt pinned onto the bodice, and I must say, I think it's looking pretty good. I'm pleased. The only thing I'm trying to figure out is if the ruffle should be placed where it is under here. I'm thinking of making it much bigger of a slit, really, and moving this over a little further so it's less of an overlap, and I actually have the ruffles so much closer together so it looks a little more like this. So you kind of got these ruffles just side by side right there. Oh, I like that. I'm leaning towards the second option. I think the only way to be sure, though, is to try it on. That's what it looks like this way. And let's try it the other way. Here is the second option. And I think it is the superior option. I really like it. I'm going to go with this one. I'm having an issue, though. I do not like the length of the bodice. It's just not as long as I would have liked it, and of course it was because of how much fabric I had to work with. I like my bodices to be a little bit longer, or I like to add a waistband. I do not have enough fabric to do that, but I have another problem. The skirt is just a bit too long. I thought it was going to be the perfect length, but it's too long, which works in my favor because I can just cut the top off of the skirt and use some of that fabric to create a little waistband, and then the skirt will be the perfect length, and so will the bodice. Problem solved. Let's see if this actually worked. First of all, waistband looks amazing. I am so glad I was able to do that. I didn't think I was going to be able to. Okay, so I could just leave it like that, tucked in, like so. Or I can pull this out. Oh, that's pretty. That is really pretty. I just have to sew in a zipper and it's finished. Because the hem is already finished. I don't have to do that. Usually that's the last thing that I do on a dress, but oh. Just a zipper.
Putting an invisible zipper in is pretty straightforward. You put it in by setting it on your fabric and pushing it forward. Straightforward. I know, I'm hilarious. Putting an invisible zipper, or any zipper in really, can be very frustrating. My favorite method of inserting a zipper is to hand baste it in first. It may seem like an unnecessary step, but it saves me so much frustration.
Finished. I do believe it is time for some frolicking. I just filmed all of that with a broken tripod. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I love this dress. It's very rare that the end result is better than the image that I had in my head, and that is the case here. I am so pleased with how it turned out. It's comfortable physically and mentally. I love this style of dress. I used to wear my prairie dresses all the time, and then for various reasons, I just wasn't able to wear them. One of those various reasons was that they weren't fitting me very well, but I am so excited to have one that is so beautiful and fits me so well. This only took me a few days to make, which is pretty fast for me. I found everything at the thrift store except for the zipper and the thread. I didn't even end up paying for the curtains. When I got to the counter, the lady saw the stains, and also there's a big paint splotch on them. I forgot to show you that. But she saw the damage and she said I could have them for free, which flustered me greatly because I'm just not very good at accepting gifts. So I just said I would like to pay for them, maybe a discounted price, and she insisted that I take them for free because they weren't supposed to put them on the floor damaged. They should have thrown them away. I knew that was a rule because I used to work at that same thrift store. It was just humorous to me because I felt like I and apparently that lady were the only ones who would follow that rule, which I don't mind if it's damaged and it's on the floor as long as it's priced accordingly. I don't mind that. I would like to be able to buy things damaged at a discounted price and then I could fix them up and make something beautiful out of them. I'd rather they didn't end up in the trash. But I accepted it and I gleefully took it home. And so this whole thing ended up costing me probably about $5. Just about. And it's beautiful. The only thing I don't like about it is the back. I made it too high, so it's really hard to zip it up and unzip it by myself. I might go in later and bring it down a little bit so that I can zip and unzip it without the risk of dislocating my shoulder. That would probably be good. I am so excited to be getting back into making this style of dress. I'm going to make more this autumn, and I might see if I can alter some of my other dresses, make them fit a little bit better. I know some of them I absolutely can't, but some of them maybe I can. Let me know if I should put that in a video. Also, please do let me know, what type of video do you prefer? Do you enjoy watching me chaotically make something for myself? Or do you prefer the more tutorial style videos where I go into detail on what I'm doing and why? Let me know. I like them both, but I want to hear what you prefer. I have a new dress. Well, that's it for me. Until next time.